Two foreign governors attend President Buhari's Kano campaign rally. PDP marks event. An Osun monarch feeds 5,000 less privileged in his town in commemoration of his third year on the throne. In international news, Brazilian embassy in Berlin vandalized with rocks and paints. And in sport, Nigeria's star striker Azizat Oshoala joins Spanish giant Barcelona women on loan.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign rally in Kano State had in attendance foreign governors from northern neighbor Nigeria Republic. Governors Issa Musa of Zindar and Zakiru Umar of Maradi State were on hand to rally support for the president in his re-election bid. Their attend at the rally was ripped by the People's Democratic Party, which says Buhari is mortgaging Nigeria's future. The PDP says this is an indication the president and his party would import voters from neighboring countries for the elections. PDP National Chairman Uche Secondus said it is unclear why APC would invite foreign governors to an election process that is purely a Nigerian internal affair. He also wondered why the president would have two foreign governors visit Kano to welcome him to his own country. The Zekist Buhari movement, a group that supports President Buhari's re-election bid, says presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar's restructuring plan for Nigeria is unclear. The group has accused Ohanaeze Ndigbo of endorsing the PDP candidate without properly studying and understanding his restructuring plan for the country. The group made this comment at the press conference in Enugu on Thursday while thanking all those who welcomed President Buhari during his visit to southeastern states. On the list of candidates for the March governorship and House of Assembly elections in Rivers and Zamfara states released by the Independent National Electoral Commission is missing the names of the All Progressives Congress candidates. The Commission also omitted names of APC candidates for the National Assembly in its final list 2 weeks ago. The Commission waded into the controversy in Ogun State between two PDP governorship candidates and decided in favor of Senator Buruji Kashamu over House of Representatives member Ladi Adebutu. The Commission says its decision was based on a court order. In Abia State, the Commission chose Uche Oga, who had been battling for the ticket with Chief Ikechi Emenike. INEC has added on the list of candidates for Lagos State's governorship candidates Babajide Sanwo-Olu, APC, and Jimmy Agbaje of the PDP. APC has reacted against INEC's decision in Zamfara and Rivers State. The party has accused INEC of double standards in rejecting APC candidates in Zamfara, but accepting PDP candidates in Kano State. And lawyers in Anambra State went back to the court on Thursday after boycotting legal practice in solidarity with a directive of the Nigerian Bar Association that all lawyers stay off the courts as a protest against the suspension of Chief Justice Walter Onohe. All lawyers in Anambra State complied with the directive on Tuesday and Wednesday. This forced the shutdown of all legal activities in all the courts in the state. NBA chairman in Demili branch Pere Anthony Oseme, the total compliance was not only recorded in this branch, but also in other 7 branches in the state. And now to some other stories. Foreign nationals working in Nigeria, along with some Nigerian retirees, have opted out of the contributory pensions plan in the country and have withdrawn all their contributions from their retirement savings accounts. They have taken a total of 25 billion naira out of the scheme. Many of the foreigners have also decided to return to their countries after their work finished in Nigeria. The National Pension Commission said on Wednesday 90,000 of these were from the private sector, 2,700 and 6,300 were respectively from state service and federal establishments. The Commission also said it approved lump sum withdrawals for retirees who had insufficient balances to warrant a programmed withdrawal or annuity of a reasonable amount over an expected lifespan. The Commission also said most of the retirees with low pensions were those whose employers in private, state and federal establishments deducted their monthly salaries, but not remitting the deducted amounts to their pension fund administrators. The federal government has begun the reinforcement of security at the nation's major airports to fortify the facilities against terror attacks and other breaches. Director of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, Captain Umar Osman, told a newspaper that the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has stopped alleged pilfering and theft on aircraft at the taxiways and holding points of the Murtala Muhammed International Airport in Lagos. This action is taking place 2 days after a 3-man team from the U.S. Transport Security Administration arrived to audit the Lagos airport for compliance with international security standards. The Director General says the federal government was ready for the ordeal because it had made extra efforts to secure the nation's airports. It was in the Christian Gospels that we read about the first miracle of Jesus, where he fed 5,000 persons with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. Now, a modern-day feeding of 5,000 persons has just taken place, except it's not a miracle. As part of activities marking his 3rd coronation anniversary, the Oluwo of the Woland, Oba Abdulrasheed Adewale Akanbi, has fed about 5,000 less privileged members of the community to celebrate his enthronement. The monarch wasn't just doing this public good. He had launched the Telu Food and Clothing Bank, where the less privileged receive prepared food 3 times weekly. More than 3,000 persons, mostly orphans and widows in the town, are able to enjoy 3 square meals on the 3 odd days of the week. Oba Akanbi said he's doing this because food and clothing are the 2 basic needs of every human being. Coming up, African news. A school walkway collapse in South Africa has claimed the lives of 3 students and injured many. And later, in international news, Brazil's embassy in Berlin vandalized with rocks and paint. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie. Drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it not for your hand, that's Palasa phone.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In African news now, at least 3 students have been killed and scores trapped in the rubble of a walkway that collapsed at a school outside Johannesburg. Head of Education for Gauteng Province, Panyaza Lesufo, said 2 boys and a girl were killed at a high school in Van der Burg Park. The school has now been closed down and it was not immediately clear what caused the collapse. An emergency services provider said at least 4 persons may have died and 5 others critically injured. The National Department of Education has extended condolences to families of the students that were killed in the collapse. Democratic Republic of the Congo has asked its United Nations peacekeeping mission for help against Rwandan rebels who are said to be planning operations against Rwanda from inside the Congolese territory. Chief of the UN mission, Leila Zerugi, said DRC has asked for peacekeepers to thwart Hutu rebels who were gathering in an eastern province near Rwanda's border. The UN peacekeeping mission says it has notified the Rwandan authorities. The United Nations Security Council has agreed to review the arms embargo against Central African Republic by the end of September on the eve the country makes progress in certain areas, including reform of its security sector and management of its weapons. CAR has been under a UN arms embargo since 2013. The government has repeatedly called for the restrictions to be lifted so it can procure arms supplies to shore up its security forces that are fighting militias that control much of the country. A review of the arms embargo benchmark will include managing weapons, disarming militias, and reforming its security sector. The draft resolution would renew the embargo until January 2020, but will open the door to a partial lifting that will allow the government to purchase weapons without seeking approval from the UN Sanctions Committee. And the United States has said on Thursday it was imposing visa restrictions on Ghana for not cooperating in plans to deport its citizens that have problems with U.S. law enforcement. U.S. Department of Homeland Security said in a statement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has ordered consular officers in Ghana to implement visa restrictions on certain categories of visa applicants. It says the sanctions could be expanded to a wider population if Ghana did not move appropriately. The U.S. has accused Ghana of failing to live up to its obligations under international law to accept the return of its nationals ordered deported from the United States. The U.S. military forces fighting insurgency in Somalia say they have killed 24 members of the Al-Shabaab militant group during an airstrike in Hiran region carried out in support of the Somali government. Spokesman for the U.S. Africa Command, Major General Craig Olson, said the command has no report of civilians hurt in the operation on a militant camp near Shibili. A Tunisian artist is making a name for himself by giving new life to old buildings across the country. He paints on rooftops, alleyways and schools, transforming them into unique art galleries. Safin Milad, a native in the UNESCO World Heritage Site, Korean, has been drawing in public places to add to the charm of the ancient town. His works have inspired the younger generation to express its attachment to the long history of the city and its rich cultural heritage.
مدينة القيروان اللي ألهمتني بتراثها وبالمساجد متاعها وبالجدران اللي موجودة عليهم كتابات قديمة، اتأثرت بالمعمار القيرواني إلى درجة وليت يعني نتأمل.
Many tourists who visit Kairouan town are said to fall in love with the heart of the Tunisian Islamic cultural heritage decorated with graffiti created by Safin.
我来自中国的上海，我是第一次来到我们的突尼斯，突尼斯非常的美丽，然后这边的清真寺还有这样美丽的一个色彩。
Students passed by Safin large wall paintings combining different patterns in Arabic words. Safin said he would continue his creations in public places so as to spread his national culture around the world. When we return, international news. Brazil's embassy pelted with rocks and paint in Berlin. And later sports, Nigeria's star striker Aziza Toshuala joins Spanish league giant Barcelona on transfer.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In world news, vandals have attacked the Brazilian embassy in Berlin, pelting it with stones and paint and damaging some windows. German police say they have identified 4 suspects. It is not yet clear whether the attack was linked to the recent election of President Bolsonaro. United Nations human rights experts are ready to listen to the audio recordings of the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Callamard and her team of experts met with advisor Yasin Aktay, who is Khashoggi's friend. The experts have described this as part of the investigation to unravel the mystery behind the murder. Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist who was a strong critic of Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman, was killed inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in October. His remains have not been found. President Trump's foreign policy is undoubtedly facing some tough moments as Congress is sending the U.S. president a strong message of this content in a number of critical areas. The Republican-run Senate has issued a strong warning against the president's plan to withdraw troops from Syria and Afghanistan. Lawmakers in both House and Senate, including some Republicans, are asking questions about Trump's diplomacy with North Korea and his interest in Yemen's civil war. They're also questioning his threats to pull out of NATO and the sanctions of on a Russian oligarch. It appears the president has been left standing alone on consequential issues of international affairs with so much criticism from all corners. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte says a group of 47 rescued refugees and migrants will be allowed to disembark an NGO vessel on which they had been on for the past 10 days. 5 European countries, Germany, France, Portugal, Malta and Romania, have agreed to accept some of the migrants. Luxembourg and Italy have also welcomed some of them. 13 minors among the rescued. A South Korean appeal court has sentenced the former provincial governor to 3.5 years in prison on charges of sexually abusing his secretary. 54-year-old former governor Ahn Hee-jun was found guilty on most counts after being accused of molestation, sexual assault, and abuse of authority. Hee-jun was the runner-up to current President Moon Jae-in in the April 27 presidential primary, but stepped down as governor last March after much public outcry over allegations on sexual assault. Still ahead, sport. Nigerian star striker Azizat Oshoala joins Spanish giant Barcelona women on loan. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sport. Niger star striker Azeezat Oshoala has completed a loan move to Barcelona women until the end of the season. The 24-year-old former BBC Women's Footballer of the Year is keen to keep in shape ahead of June's World Cup in France. She won her third Women's AFCON with the Super Falcons last year. Morocco's Confederation Cup holders, Raja Casablanca, have named Frenchman Patrice Carteron as their new coach. The new coach replaced Juan Carlos, whose contract ended on Monday. Carteron has signed until the end of the season with an option to renew. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and all the stories, visit our website, annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Enjoy your weekend.